Hello, everybody. Welcome to Day 3 of Super Bowl Radio Row, live from New Orleans. I am Patrick Daugherty, joined by Mr. Denny Carter and the ghosts of dinners and drinks past. Denny, I don't know about you, but my caloric intake has been quite high in this fine city.
It's not been great for me. I've been scouring New Orleans for chickpeas because I love my chickpeas, and I have not been able to find. So instead, I've just eaten everything else I've seen.
Eaten everything else. And
drank
we're at
everything
the age
else.
where once you eat it, it kind of never leaves your body.
Right.
So
we did dine on turtle soup.
We did.
Last night, and it was excellent, and I recommend it to everybody who has access to. I've never seen it in my life, but it was cool to see it. Even cooler to eat it.
Even cooler is that Denny and I in 10 minutes are going to be joined by our dear friend from ESPN and Omaha Productions, Mr. Kevin Clark. We're going to ask him about Patrick Mahomes and what some are calling a dark Patrick Mahomes, and then who Kevin claims is the next Patrick Mahomes, a certain player he may have watched of a lot in college. But first, Denny, we were given a walking tour of this great haunted town by our friend Drew Dinsick. We ate in what is supposedly the oldest continually operating bar in the United States of America, the name of which we remember. I know what it is.
We know what it is. We're going to look it up and make sure. But, since 1722, we were in this facility that's been there since 1722. It survived 2 historic fires.
What are your early impressions of New Orleans? By early,
I love it.
I don't mean like 3rd or 4th day here, but
no. Okay, all right. This is my 4th Super Bowl. No offense to the other cities that I've been to, but this is my favorite by far, because New Orleans is, like a historic city. Like there's actual history here, and that to me is very cool. So give me an old city over the glitz and glam of Vegas.
It's not even necessarily an old city. No offense to Las Vegas. It's just give me an actual city.
Just a real city. It's fine.
New Orleans looked very powerfully into being an actual city. And
actual culture.
Actual culture, actual turtle soup, Mississippi River. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
The Mississippi, it turns out, folks, it's big.
It is.
It's a big river.
Did you know that you had to fly here, of course? You're coming from the East Coast, elitist. I just sailed down. I got a paddle boat. Just came right on down the Mississippi. My house overlooks the Mississippi floodplain. I was driven there. I just dropped off at the shore of the Mississippi River.
You grabbed your banjo.
I did.
You got in your boat, and you came down here. It's the first time I've seen the Mississippi River, and I can report it's big, and it's actually quite beautiful.
What an elite. All these Maryland bays. Can't ever make time for the Mississippi River. We can make time, Denny, for receiver props.
Yeah.
We've talked about almost everything else already this week with the game. One thing we have not talked about at length is the receiving prospects for the pass catchers and Super Bowl licks. 59. Who are some of your favorites to maybe lead this game in receiving on Sunday? We're having a hard time forecasting this game because both defenses like to cut out the big plays. Both defenses are playing pretty well right now. But someone is going to have receiving production in this game. Who do you think are the players best positioned to take the crown on Sunday?
So if you're watching this on YouTube, which I recommend, you can see the screen there. It showed A.J. Brown at the top as far as odds go, plus 180 for A.J. Brown to lead this game, the Super Bowl, in receiving yards. And I think it's actually a pretty good bet, and I have some notes here on A.J. Brown's matchup, and it could hardly be better, Pat, is what I'm going to drill down to here.
Better, huh?
So A.J. Brown in 2024 led all receivers in yards per route against man coverage. Kansas City plays man coverage at the 10th highest rate in the league, and that has actually increased as the season has gone on. Devontae Smith, far less efficient, far less targeted, importantly, against man coverage. He's more of the zone guy, right? So A.J. Brown's biggest games of the year against Cleveland, against Pittsburgh, against Washington. These are man-heavy defenses. So I know he's at the top of the list, but A.J. Brown makes a lot of sense to me.
You just brought out a lot of actual stats, all that, and you mentioned coverages. I've never looked at the screen and known what coverage is. But I don't know, the guy seems like he's open.
All I do is just look at the spreadsheet. So.
You know what guy is just going to be open every single play on Sunday? A guy who I think he was saving it up for this game in the AFC Championship game. Didn't really do a whole lot in the AFC Championship game. The divisional round, everyone pronounced, playoff Kelce was back.
Yes.
And then playoff Kelce went back into hibernation for the AFC Championship game, though. That's because he knew, the Chiefs were just going to easily win, as usual. They didn't need him for that. They're going to need him a lot for this against the Vic Fangio defense. Everyone all we're hearing all week is how the Eagles like to stamp out the big plays. The Chiefs are going to have to dink and dunk them to death. We know the Chiefs will all too happily take them up on that offer. And I'll go full narrative street. The Travis Kelce efficiency was a massive decline this year. Travis Kelce counting stats in massive decline. Travis Kelce is the kind of guy who started kind of like openly flirting with retirement talk.
Yes.
His last game, he's putting every single thing he's got into this game. And I think he's 15, 16, 17 target kind of game for Travis Kelce.
Honestly.
And he's going to atone for the quiet AFC Championship tilt. And he's going to lead this game in receiving, as the Chiefs, of course, easily win.
A couple things. Kelce runs like a man who's about to retire.
He does.
Okay, so that goes without saying. Another thing is that the Bills, remember we talked about with Kyle on the show 2 weeks ago that the Bills were made to stop Travis Kelce. Like they were like, okay, how do we beat the Chiefs? We're going to redo our defense to stop the short areas, primarily Travis Kelce kicking our butt every time, right? So he didn't do well. He wasn't really involved against Buffalo, and I think that was because Buffalo put so much effort into that. But against zone coverage, and the Eagles play a lot of zone, Kelce is targeted on 30% of his routes. No Kansas City pass catcher is even in that range. Worthy's all the way down at 22%. He's second best there.
I just realized one thing that could really undermine my argument for Kelce leading this game in receiving is I talked as if the game matters for the Chiefs. Like, it is the Super Bowl. Chiefs probably finally found a game that matters.
Yes.
Just what if it doesn't? What if they just know like they're going to all too easily win this one? They don't even need Kelce for this one.
No.
And I think that might be undermining my argument.
Like, when push comes to shove, when it's 3rd and 7, I think the balls just simply go to Kelce. And I actually think the 15 target game is in the range of outcomes here. That was really never in the range against the Bills. The Bills were ready to stop that.
So you said A.J. Brown, I said Travis Kelce. Our listeners will be like, oh, yeah, thanks.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for the insight.
Tell me the wide receiver one for the Eagles and one of the greatest tight ends of all time could lead the game in receiving.
All right.
Do you have a dark horse further down the board? It could be third on the board, but who's a third option to potentially lead this game in receiving?
It can't get too dark of a horse here because not many people are involved in catching the ball, especially in the Eagles offense. It's only A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert, and that's who I'm going to talk about is Dallas Goedert. His over-under here, by the way, is 4.5 receptions. I love the over because during the regular season, only T.J. Hawkinson had a higher yards per route run against man coverage than Goedert, and Goedert had a 5.5 ADOT, so average depth of target of 5.5 yards against man, which against KC plays a lot of. So we're talking about just a scam.
I fell asleep while you were saying that.
Just scammy, middle of the field, little dump offs. Unless game script gets weird here, and I really just can't see that happening. I think Goedert easily goes over 4.5 catches, and has an outside shot at finishing this game as the leading receiver. I will say he led the league in among tight ends in yards after the catch.
This does feel like the ultimate will not be weird game script.
Yeah.
And grind it out, station to station. I feel like the Eagles are going to want some variance injected in this game. I feel like if you have a game with no variance in it, that's the game that the Chiefs just win. 9.2 times out of 10.
Absolutely.
And that does feel like the median outcome for this game, though. Just like they're both playing their game. It's about execution. The Chiefs just always play their game a little bit better than everyone else. The Eagles, they just execute a little bit better than everyone else. Mm-hmm. And I don't think anything's weird is going to happen with like the props and all that. Famous last words, of course. But, Noah Gray is the Super Bowl licks MVP.
And what I meant by weird game script is like if the Eagles get up big, and that's not happening.
It's not happening.
Like we talked about that yesterday. That's just a scenario that seems like almost impossible where the Eagles have a comfortable lead going into the second half.
Denny, what is happening is Kevin Clark is joining us right after this. We'll be right back. NBC Sports Now channel is live all week from New Orleans. You can watch the Rotoworld Football Show, plus get insider access and analysis from Mike Florio, Matthew Berry, Chris Sims, Kyle Dvorchak, Dan Patrick, and Dan Levitard. Don't miss interviews with NFL stars, coaches, and celebrities. The NBC Sports Now channel is available on Peacock, the Roku channel, Samsung TV, and more. Visit NBCSports.com/now for more details. It is now our distinct pleasure to welcome in Omaha Productions' Kevin Clark. You may know him from such jobs as ESPN personality, This Is Football host, amazing writer, and now apparently golf show co-host. Not busy enough, Kevin? You gotta talk about the golf.
I'm doing the golfing thing from here. I'm gonna do.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and so it's an ESPN Bet altcast. That's what we do at ESPN.
Right, yeah.
Altcasts.
Of the
we
waste
barely do
management
the casts. With the waste management, we just go straight to the altcasts.
Yes. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and so we got the altcast going, and so it's gonna be a betting focused one. I'll be on Friday, talking people through it. As someone who is bad at golf, I feel like I can lend my expertise and just be like, well, I wouldn't have done that there, and then just say that every shot for the entire 4 hours. It might get a little repetitive,
Right.
But I think my brand of just going, whoa, look at that, for 4 hours.
That plays.
Yeah,
Ooh, that plays, to be honest.
we'll hit with America.
Yeah, they'll love it. You
Yeah.
should say he should have hit that straighter.
Yeah.
You know.
He
next
should have
time.
not immediately sliced that into the water.
Yeah.
By the way, ESPN and NBC, we're competitors, but we're friendly competitors. Yeah, you did reference the business model of a record amount of casts, which frankly is working. I love it.
So many
and I watched the casts.
Yeah.
And you're doing a great job.
I also, since we're competitors, I am a massive fan of you guys and the Peacock streaming service. Yeah.
Peacock.
Those might be
love
two
Peacock.
separate things.
No, we're
we're
on
on there.
Peacock.
Yeah, no, but
And Peacock is finally getting its due. It's having its moment. The Olympics was kind of like the coming out party for Peacock. Like, we knew Peacock was great all along.
Yeah.
Guess who else knows Peacock is
Right.
amazing now? The rest of the nation.
The mainstream.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the mainstream is talking
like
about Peacock.
Puka Nakua style breakout.
Yeah, it is a Puka style breakout for Peacock. Who's breaking out of kind of their old skin, their old shell, Kevin, would be Patrick Mahomes,
Yeah.
where I knew this would be the kind of thing you would immediately notice. And we caught what we thought was the unveiling of
Yeah.
what can only be termed as dark Mahomes.
Oh, it's dark woke Mahomes.
It's Super Bowl media. No, not woke.
No.
Just dark
Dark.
Yeah.
Mahomes, where it took 7 years,
Yeah.
but he decided he had finally lived long enough to be the villain. Like, he got upset. There have
Yeah.
been one too many gifs of him kind of gingerly falling after lightly getting shoved.
Yeah.
And Dark Mahomes is here. What do you think of this development? Does this mean he's never losing another game? Are they never losing another Super Bowl? What are your thoughts on
Yeah.
Dark Mahomes?
I think we would all have that attitude if we were in his position. All he does is win Super Bowls, and then like in the last 3 weeks, we decided the games are rigged for him.
Yeah.
And it must be incredibly annoying to hear about this. And also, like, it's just broken contain in a weird way where it's all anybody talks about. Is
Yeah.
somehow, like, did you guys see the Dean Blandino's brother thing?
No?
No.
So Dean
Oh, boy.
Blandino recently said that his brother thinks the games are rigged. Dean
What?
Blandino, former head of officiating, now in the booths for Fox. His brother believes the games are rigged, and then when Dean is like, well, I was in charge of it, so I would have been the one
Yeah,
rigging, and I
would've-
promised that there were no rigging. His brother said, well, you signed an NDA. That's why you're telling me this.
Wow.
And so I don't think that's like uncommon in America right now.
No.
So if you're Mahomes and you're going to three-peat and all you do is score the coolest touchdowns on earth and like barely beat these teams and do it in a way that's so dramatic and cool that like, thank God he exists. He's giving us so much entertainment. And America's repayment for that is to be annoying and conspiratorial.
Is to do their own research.
Well, hold
And
on.
Look into it strongly.
Let's not pretend that you're not a part of this. So, Kevin, hold on.
I never said anything about the
Denny's not a
refs.
games are rigged game, but so the reason people, the rigged thing has taken hold is because the Chiefs just execute better than everyone, and they win games more easily than anyone. They're the new Patriots. They're the even more efficient Patriots. Unlike the Patriots, they don't do the C word to win. I'm not going to spell it out, but it's the CH. The CH, not that one.
You should spell it out.
Yeah, I should probably spell that one out.
Desperately need to spell it out.
But yeah, I didn't want any litigious members of the Patriots' multiple dynasties to sue me, but they did some underhanded stuff to win. The Chiefs don't even do that, and yet there's people like Denny who have Mahomes
What are you
derangement
talking to me?
syndrome. And so, like, Kevin,
Yeah, I am.
I'm going to
I'm
say
deranged.
this. I don't have an NFL team.
I don't either.
But I would be so annoyed by Patrick Mahomes if I did have one, especially if he was an AFC contender. Because
You
he
don't have a
just
team?
does just enough to beat you. And that must be
Right.
so annoying.
It is.
Because it's not like somebody was comparing to Brady the other day. And I was like, well, Brady, when you saw like the comebacks and stuff, it was so obvious. It would hit you over the head. He would like push the ball down the field. He would just go turbo nuclear on you. Mahomes is going to be with like a 4.5-yard, like behind the linebacker drag route that goes for 60 yards and breaks the back of some perfectly built AFC team. And like the entire city is weight laced. They're in a sports impression for 6 months because literally like a linebacker was one step to the right.
Yes.
It's just so imperceptible that I could imagine having Mahomes derangement syndrome.
Yeah,
I could not.
It's acute.
No, listen, Mahomes to me, this is MJ level.
Yeah.
This is Tiger Woods level. This is pre-Durant, Steph level. Where I'm usually like the hopeless underdog guy. Like I used to be the guy like I know the Thunder can win this series somehow. I absolutely know. Like the San Francisco Giants, they were in overtime. The Cleveland Guardians are going to win the series. That's pretty simple. I would concoct cases for underdogs. There's certain times where you abandon that and you front run greatness. I front run Mahomes' greatness.
Where did this Guardians thing just come from? What just happened?
The Guardians. Okay, listen. I was talking about normally in sports, I am the underdog rooter.
Sure.
Like the Guardians.
Why are the Guardians?
Well, it's because
the archetype for you.
Who are the Guardians?
The Guardians. I know. Listen, the Guardians make the playoffs every year with like the 22nd highest payroll.
Yeah.
And then they always run into like the higher payrolls, and I'm always rooting like super hard for like the Guardians, those kind of teams of baseball.
Okay.
And then I'm like making the 26-point case for like here's how the Guardians will actually do this because I'm coping and crying and wanting the underdog to win.
Yeah.
But my point is, even if that's your rooting mentality, there are times where you have to abandon that.
Yeah.
To me, Mahomes is you front run Mahomes. You front run Mahomes, and I think it's deranged and just coping of the highest order if you do not front run Mahomes, Denny.
Before you answer,
tired.
any thoughts on the Guardians?
They're a team. They are a team in sports. Baseball, perhaps.
What league are the Guardians in?
It's Cleveland. It's Major League Baseball. Is that correct?
Baseball. American League.
I'm saying what league though? Yeah, Kevin spoilered it for you. But,
It's the American League. Although I do get those American National League questions wrong more often than not. He is. I will say though, Mahomes, this whole villain thing is very forced.
So he's not a convincing villain.
Because he's not. He's just
a great
guy. Well, he is a blank slate. He is whatever you want him to be.
And he's not going to lean. I don't think he's actually leaning into any of this stuff. I think he's annoyed. And I think that for a long time, I have a friend who gave me the best advice I've ever heard. And I think about it all the time. He said, the best response to any controversy that you're involved in is, what? Just like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about.
Really
I don't know.
good,
Hey,
yeah.
what? Like, when you're getting dragged on Twitter or whatever, oh, I didn't see it. I don't know. What? No? Don't know anything about that.
God,
and so,
I
like, with Mahomes, I think for the past, few years, anytime somebody said something, he was just like, yeah, I don't know, man.
Well, that's what he said. He said, quote, if winning football games makes you a villain, we're going to keep going out there and doing it, which is exactly what you would expect him to say.
Yes.
Yeah, he's just not. Mahomes being the villain to me is like a sign of American decline. Like Brady.
This is the end of the American century.
Exactly. End of American history here. Like Brady, that's a convincing villain.
Yes.
Brady too. It wasn't like it was the most like over the top outward cheating. It was like petty stuff on the fringes. To me, that's great villain stuff. Like this guy doesn't need. He's doing football, deflating footballs. He doesn't even need to do this.
No, he doesn't even need.
That's what makes a convincing villain.
Right.
Mahomes, there's nothing there when he falls over occasionally. That's supposed to be a villain, and a lot of Mahomes talk. Speaking of Patrick Mahomes, I don't know if this take for you. I don't know if you've unveiled this one on air yet, but I know that you've discovered a next Mahomes. And you need to tell us about the next Mahomes. What's his name?
So
what's his deal?
His name's Cam Ward.
Yeah.
Cameron Ward.
Yes.
I'm doing this thing where I say, well, he's not Mahomes. And then as soon as the microphone is off, whoever my guest is, I just go, I think he's Mahomes. I do it all. I've been doing it for 4 months. Connor Rogers might be around here.
Yeah.
Literally, that was the first time I did that was with Connor, where I was like, at the end, and I was like, I should probably just. So the take I heard that someone told me that I liked, that I've stolen, because you don't want to actually say it, right?
No, you can't actually say it, but we're trying to get you to say it right
Is
now.
that he's not Mahomes, but he has Mahomes' flaws? Because I think Mahomes and Cam Ward have the same thing, where they would throw these cross-body, crazy 40-yard interceptions because they're doing look at my safeties, dog.
Yeah.
We've got no chance. Look at the secondary that I stand next to at practice.
Right.
I got to throw these 40-yard interceptions, or else whatever.
With no chance.
I think Mahomes. So Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks did a podcast right after Mahomes popped, where they basically why did we get this wrong? Why did we not see the best quarterback of all time coming? Why did we have I don't know, mid-first round looks good. Oh, by the way, he's the best quarterback who has ever lived.
Instantaneously, the second he steps on the field.
Yeah, and like a bunch of guys were like, what if we got a guard? What if we got Leonard Fournette as a higher value?
Oh, boy.
What if we got Mitch Trubisky?
Yeah, so what Jeremiah said, and what I come back to all the time, is he didn't realize how many of Mahomes' mistakes were because he realized, if I don't make this play, we're going to lose the game, because their defense was so bad. And with Cam, he made 2 traditional interceptions last year, and they're both against Virginia Tech, where he literally just missed the throw and it went into a DB's arms. I think he had 7 interceptions.
Yes,
the other 5 were just like, all right, watch this.
Yeah.
And there was only one. There was a play against Duke and he's so hyper aware of where everything is, and I know, I'd love to talk to him about this. We got a holding penalty. I went to Miami, that's why I say we. We got a holding penalty, and he did the crossbody interception anyway. And it's like, well, you can't blame that on doing too much, because literally there was no good thing that could come out of it. There was a flag. So he's the only person who had a free play, or excuse me, the opposite of a free play, a dead play, and was like, what if I did the only thing that could hurt me?
Yes.
Which is throw an awful interception across my body over the
funny.
middle of the field to like 4 guys.
Speaking of interceptions, over his career at Miami, 1.6% interception rate, which is insanely low.
Yes.
And then his touchdown rate was over 6%. It was almost 9% last year. And the awareness thing, I actually think you're onto something, because the Mahomes is different because he's aware.
Yeah.
He can see the matrix on the field. And if Cam Ward is anything like that, then you might be onto something.
There's a play against Cal that I bring up a lot when I'm talking to NFL people, when I'm spreading Cam Ward propaganda to the top 2 teams in the draft.
You should.
And Cal had 12 guys in the field, and Ward, they didn't throw the flag, and Ward just spent the first 3 seconds post-snap pointing at the guy. It was just like, look, hey, everybody, this guy, you turned in like LeBron, meme, right here, officer. This is the guy. And then
Luka not running up the court.
And then as soon as they threw the flag, he went back into rhythm and hit a freshman tight end like 40 yards down the field. And you don't do that unless you know exactly pre-snap, post-snap where everybody is. That's why I think he's got elite processing skills. Now,
that's
the problem with Mahomes, the Mahomes comp, is he's going to go to Brian Callahan or Kevin Stefanski, both of whom I have a lot of respect for. But they're not the best play caller in the history of the sport, as Mahomes got. I don't know how long it's going to take them for them to fix their offensive line in Tennessee. I don't know if they're going to have the pass catchers like Tyreek Hill had. I just think he's going to go to a much worse spot.
What do you think his best landing spot? Because you're invested in his future as a Miami guy, he's a Mahomes guy.
I think if Stefanski could run the offense he wants to run, I wouldn't hate the Browns.
What? Well, time out. That's almost like saying, I know the Bears have never had, but you would want Cam Ward to be like the 35th name on the Browns meme jersey.
Let me ask you a question. Miami was bad for 20 years.
They were.
And then Cam Ward was like, what if I played well?
What if they were not?
What if we beat Florida 41-17?
Yes.
And put a guy. Have you guys seen the touchdown? So he curled out and threw a touchdown, and somehow the Florida defensive back, I'm sure the footage is up there somewhere. The Florida defensive back ended up in the bushes at the stadium.
Yes. A great feature
literally
of the SEC.
sitting down, just like the exact record scratch. You're wondering how I wound up here.
Yes,
it is. I've never seen anything like. And it also was just one of those things where even when you rewind it, how this guy got into the bushes, it still doesn't make any sense. He just does that to defensive backs.
That's a great point, that he's a program resurrector. And two, Kevin Stefanski, what if we simply gave Kevin Stefanski an actually good quarterback instead of making him try to revive Joe Flacco?
A lot of quarterbacks have done well in that system except for the one.
Yeah. Even Baker was like a superstar even until he played with a wrecked shoulder.
Cam Ward plays a little bit like Baker, by the way.
I love that. And I think
also the other thing is, I think sometimes I think Cam Ward gets labeled a runner. He is not a runner. No. I think there's reasons he gets labeled a runner. He's got the Baker Mayfield. By people who don't watch him, by the way. He's got the Baker Mayfield. Every time I'm running, I'm not happy about it. Like when Baker's running, he's like, Jesus. All right, it's 14
do it myself.
yards. Yeah, I'm gonna run 14 yards and slide.
Yeah.
I hate this.
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm doing this, but I'm gonna go ahead and get those free yards. Just annoyed, like not an angry run, not a Kyle Brandt angry run. An annoyed, like I can't believe you guys are making me do this.
You know what my Mahomes comp was for Mahomes coming out of college, by the way? It was Mahomes. I'm like, this guy's Mahomes. Mahomes. I'm taking Patrick Mahomes because he's Mahomes.
I've said it before. If a quarterback is good coming out of college, he's Mahomes.
That is Denny. That's one of Denny's takes. Pretty simple if they're good.
Let's not complicate it.
Mahomes. Yeah, there's no point in making this complicated. Kevin, unfortunately, almost out of time. But you're a Miami guy. You're also an Orlando Magic guy.
Yeah.
You've been beating this drum for a while. We have a producer in our ear, Steven. He shouts, "Go Magic!"
Is he a Magic fan?
Oh, he is. Steven's got.
Is he from Orlando?
He's from
Florida.
Central Florida. I know.
Florida, yeah.
He got married in Winter Park. He tells me. I don't know what that means.
He got married in Winter Park.
Yeah, I don't know what that means. But he's got all kinds of cursed Florida teams: UCF, the Jags.
Did he get married at the house, the nice house next to the golf course?
Did you get married at the nice house? He
did.
did.
Yes,
he did.
Wow.
Kevin,
that's the wedding venue in Winter Park.
Wow.
That's why I asked.
Kevin,
congratulations on the money,
Kevin knows.
producer Steven.
But yeah, you try to when you're a Magic fan, you're trying to have special Magic moments with someone. You thought you were having one in Central Park.
So a couple of years ago, when we were really bad, we're still pretty bad. But I was in Central Park, and there was an older guy. He's like 50 or something, and he had a Magic pullover, and I just said, "Go Magic," and he goes, "I don't know about that."
Wouldn't take it that far.
Pretty good.
Like, let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Let's not go. I'm gonna wear the Magic pullover, but let's not do Magic.
We're not going Magic.
We're not going.
Define go. What do you when you say go Magic? What am I supposed to take from that? What's that supposed to mean?
I've thought about it since, like, did the guy put on the pullover being like, I hope no one notices.
What was the deal, real quick, too, in the 90s? Why did every child, we're all born in the 80s, why did every child born in the 80s, no matter where they lived, you at least lived there, why did I have like 5 articles of Magic clothing?
So I've thought about that, and I also don't know, maybe it's like the breakdown of monoculture. I don't feel like kids now are like, I gotta get, like the Thunder, this cool young team, or like, you know, have a bunch of cool players. Nobody's like, I gotta get a Thunder jacket.
No.
That doesn't happen. What happened here?
And like, producer
Did starter
Adam
fall off?
Producer Adam just said in my ear, Shaq and Penny.
Penny.
It wasn't just Shaq and Penny, though.
It was like Dennis Scott.
Anytime there was a new team,
I love Dennis Scott.
I was required to have 5 pieces of Charlotte Hornets paraphernalia, too, for some reason. It didn't matter if your team was good or I know they had Alonzo Mourning.
I had a hat.
They had Glenn Rice.
Hat. Yeah.
But this, like, growing up, there was an expansion team anywhere in American sports. Like, well, I guess I'm getting an Arizona Diamondbacks tracksuit.
Well, because I had Marlins stuff.
I had Marlins stuff. I had Rockies stuff.
I had a Javon Kirsch jersey. Why? I don't know.
I do not know.
I don't know, but I
like the
I
early
could tell.
Titans?
Yeah, early Titans. Yeah, early Titans. I had a KG Timberwolves jersey.
Okay.
I feel like we lost that looks cool out of our. Yeah.
Well, no one wants to look cool anymore. Now it's about how casual can you
How
possibly
comfortable.
look.
It's all about comfort.
Yes.
And yeah, listen, you're never going to be comfortable in a Charlotte Hornets like 140% cotton T-shirt. Like that won't actually be comfortable. But
how do you feel about Jason Day's golf outfits? Are you following these?
I am.
So he wore Jason Day, one of our finest golfers. He lives in Cleveland, home of the Guardians. To tie this all together, he's now just wearing sweatsuits on the course.
It's the biggest dad move that I've ever seen on the course. Like, this guy has given up on trying to look good.
Yep.
He's just said, I'm going to be comfortable. I'm going to wear these sweats. I'm going to wear this huge shirt, which I don't even know how he swings in it.
I have no idea.
It looks deeply uncomfortable. You know, but I will say it's probably better than the overly tight golf shirts that some of these guys wear. And, you know, I don't know which one I would rather do. I'm not a big fan of Jason Day's outfits, though.
We've got to wrap here. But before we wrap, I have to ask you your quick game thoughts.
Yeah.
What are your quick game thoughts, and why are they that the Chiefs will easily win?
So I've become, like, the Chiefs made me anti-science. Because all of the things.
We all get there eventually, brother.
All of the things that I typically sort of follow for a game prediction, right? Like the Eagles have a better roster.
Doesn't matter.
Jalen Carter's a game wrecker.
Does not matter.
Smith.
Nope.
And what's going to happen is all of the Eagles are not going to flop or anything.
No.
They're just going to lose 26-24.
Exactly.
And I don't know
how.
how. I think Kelce's going to get open with 46 seconds left. and he's going to labor down the field, and you're never going to see anything like it.
Yep.
And you're going to go, okay, and it's going to all look normal. And I've said this before, but Bill Walsh said there's no such thing as clutch. There's only executing normally when everybody loses their heads. And that Chiefs team, and I've been saying this, first of all, I'm just Control-C, Control-V, all Chiefs takes. Like, my Chiefs priors don't change every year. It's like the same. I've been saying this for 3 years. But, like, their ability to execute normally and just be like, all right, we're going to just hit Travis Kelce and he's going to be open. And then meanwhile, the Eagles are like, what? How did that happen? It's like they have one play.
That's what we did.
One play.
Left.
Yep. Kevin, amazing stuff. You know him, you love him, you watch him everywhere, including golf now. He's on alt golf casts. In addition to
every alt cast.
This is football is where I find him most frequently. Kevin, one of the absolute best in the business. Thank you so much for taking time to join us, and thank you so much for listening. We'll be back with you on Thursday from Radio Row.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and Rotoworld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Rotoworld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.